Original salute.
What are they doing right now?
They're literally disciplining themselves because they're getting ready for these larger rallies at Juneteenth, and they want to be able to protect the crowd.
Left face.
Tension is flowing in Tulsa's Black community on Juneteenth.
Juneteenth recognizes the liberation of Black people. It recognizes the end of slavery.
We just tired. My brothers and sisters, mamas, we all want peace. We can't get peace if y'all stay on our back about being Black.
Not one victim, not one descendant of a victim of the Tulsa Race Massacre has yet to receive justice.
The eyes of America will be focused on Tulsa this weekend as President Trump takes the stage for his first rally since the COVID-19 outbreak.
I'm upset that the president chose to bring his hateful rhetoric here on a weekend that means so much to Black people across the country.
The fact that I'm having a rally on that day, you can really think about that very positively as a celebration.
Although he did decide to postpone his June 19th rally by one day out of respect for the holiday, some Tulsans say that's not enough.
Truth be told, Juneteenth is a whole weekend celebration. It might start on Thursday and last through Sunday. Move this to next week. Just find another weekend.
Anissa West is an educator and activist. She's lived here her whole life.
To be Black in Tulsa means to be kind of like seen, but also unseen. I think a lot of people here still feel like they live under pretty extreme oppression. I mean, we just saw that in the news.
Earlier this month in Tulsa, 2 Black teenagers arrested for jaywalking in a neighborhood with no sidewalks.
It's a street that is very much like any other street, including the one right outside this window.
Hey, man, why you gotta, bro, chill out.
I ended up having to turn the video off. It was just too hard to watch.
The boys were eventually released, and Tulsa police says the arrest is being investigated.
You wonder if at the end of this video, will these kids live? Fortunately, they did, but we know that they're still going to be grappling with the trauma of that experience for a long time.
Racial trauma has a deep history in Tulsa. The 1921 race massacre destroyed the historically Black Greenwood district, then known as the Black Wall Street.
What we want more than anything is for our children and grandchildren to know that there's more to Black history than slavery and the civil rights movement.
Michelle Brown is the program coordinator at the Greenwood Cultural Center.
Take me back to 1921. What was it like here on Black Wall Street?
There were grand hotels, movie theaters, restaurants, clothing stores, grocery stores. The list goes on and on. Everything that our community does not have today, the Black community was able to build in 1921. It was simply an amazing time in Tulsa's history.
But just before Memorial Day, 1921, an elevator incident between a 19-year-old Black man, Dick Rowland, and a 17-year-old white girl named Sarah Page would change the city forever.
And what was that night like when this vibrant neighborhood was destroyed?
So when white rioters began to gather in front of the courthouse, angry and upset about what had happened, determined to take matters into their own hands, lynchings were all too common in Tulsa. They began to set homes and businesses on fire. The National Guard was eventually called in. They were told that there was a Negro uprising, that Negroes were killing innocent unarmed whites. They sided with the white rioters and white police department and white city officials and began to arrest every African American in the community. More than 300 Black-owned businesses were burned to the ground. More than 1,200 homes completely destroyed.
Most of this country, most of the city doesn't even know about what occurred in 1921 with the massacre. Why is that?
Many people decided to sweep this history under the rug. The city of Tulsa didn't want to be known as the place where our nation's worst race massacre had occurred.
America is in the midst of a large-scale reckoning with its legacy of racism. The police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis unleashing protests in all 50 states with the rallying cry, Black Lives Matter.
How does what happened 99 years ago relate to what's happening today?
We are still dealing with the same racism and injustice in 2020 that existed in 1921. These images that you see in some of the photographs of black men being marched down the streets from 1921 are very similar to images that you see now in 2020. And it's time that we realize that we have to do something different.
A white boy wakes up and says, what do I want to do today? And a black boy wakes up and says, what can I do today?
The renewed movement for equality inspired lifelong Tulsan Greg Robinson to do something he never expected, running to become the city's first ever black mayor.
It was something in my heart that said, before I really start this, I better go on and hang out with the fam one last time in a big space. So I'm a child of Tulsa, I'm a child of Greenwood, and when you look and think that we are just on the sunset of the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre, and not one victim, not one descendant of a victim of the Tulsa Race Massacre has yet to receive justice. There are still families that are being victimized by police violence and no justice is found. And so I'm standing up and I'm asking Tulsans to stand up with me and say, look, we can do better if we commit together to do it.
What is it like to be a black man living in Tulsa right now?
I think it was James Baldwin that said, to be black and relatively conscious is to be mad all of the time. And I can't sit here and tell you that it is an easy job, but I would tell you I have a little bit of privilege. I wonder what it's like to be a black youth that is walking the streets of these communities, getting pulled over for jaywalking and being put in handcuffs. I think it feels tough for all of us black men, black women, not just here in Tulsa, but across the country. And that's what this movement is about.
Original salute. Left face. Back at attention.
This is a group of young cats from North Tulsa that have tried to model themselves after the tenets of the Black Panthers. And so it's important for me, man, to come and talk to them. And because the fact of the matter is, the reason a lot of young black men aren't voting is because they don't see nobody that's really representing them.
What have you learned most from hearing what these young people are telling you?
They're so much more peaceful than what society and media would have you believe. They are angry, but they are turning to say, man, we want to have our own businesses. We want to take care of our own communities. Everybody got a little bit of slice of story.
Yeah.
And so why don't we just go and just share a little bit? Why are you actually out here?
We trying to bring peace. We trying to bring our people together so we can be fundamentally sound.
We ain't marching against Trump. We ain't marching against the police. None of that. We march against violence, and we marching to bring discipline to our mind, body, and soul.
I'm here because I'm tired of police right behind my back, because I don't know if they're gonna put a gun on me or yank me out the car.
Yeah, this is Juneteenth, this is brotherhood. Yeah. All of us come from these streets out here. All of us done dealt with the same problems. We all want better for our children out here. And the only way to get better is to do better.
Tell me about what this mural means to the community.
This is a sacred space. We know that this is a space where buildings were destroyed, people died here, but the spirit is still here. People thriving in the midst of what may be chaos, what may be, oppression, or both, as we're dealing with right now. But we're still here, and we're gonna keep building, and we're not going anywhere. I hope when you stand on this ground that you feel empowered to go out and do whatever that thing is that you thought you couldn't, or that someone told you couldn't.
Pop quiz, hotshot. You're in Harlem and you're at this building. You go through the door, enter the security code, take the elevator to the 3rd floor, knock on this door where Rudy greets you.
Hi, and welcome.
You make your way into a packed apartment and try to find a seat. What do you get? You get a live jazz performance like no other. Every Sunday, Marjorie Elliott and her son Rudell Dreers open the doors to their apartment for people to come and listen to jazz music.
We decided to use our apartment because we can do what we want here. It's just a matter of this is home. So everybody who walks through that door, we treat as family.
And it's a pretty big family. The concerts are so popular that if you're not on time, finding a seat can be a little tricky.
We fill up the living room, the kitchen, the hallway. People will stand out taking videos. It's pretty much like that every Sunday now. You know, it's like it's jam-packed.
The jazz concerts began in 1993 after Rudell's brother Phil passed away.
Well, my brother passed away on a Sunday, and Mommy had the great idea to honor him with concerts on Sundays. You know, when you play music, you just get all your angst out, and it's just a healing feeling. So I think her thing was, you know, what better way to honor him than with a concert? And we've been blessed to never have missed a Sunday.
With their commitment and consistency to play every Sunday, the concerts are now considered legendary in Harlem, attracting audiences from all over the world. Hey Rudell, do you mind if we ask some of the audience members where they came from?
Of course.
I'm from Germany,
France,
Australia, Colombia.
That's pretty cool.
I think once we started, it just took on a life force of its own. Sometimes people come and they don't know what they're going to expect. You know, it's like ring a bell and get free jazz. And then once they get here and they have that experience, it's kind of something they won't forget. For some people, this is their church. People come here and they feel renewed. And we feel renewed. And you never know who you're going to touch out there. So if you're putting out good energy, it's going to work.